Hey, what's going on, movie lovers? Today we are talking about Accident Man from 2018 on Cinema Shack. I am Jeff Porter.
I am Kyle West.
And yeah, as I said, today we're talking about uh, a film that a lot of people it's probably flown under the radar. I mean, if you have Scott Adkins as a lead, not a lot of people are probably going to see it, but we've watched it, and I love this movie.
Yes, this is a movie that you recommended. I had also not heard of it, but I was willing to check it out, especially when you started telling me about the cast of this movie. I am like, "Oh, I have to see this film." And it was on Tubi TV. So,
Yes,
of course,
yeah,
anything on Tubi TV is bound to be a movie that you and I are like, "We have to do this."
Tubi is a godsend. It's just filled with those BC grade movies that we love. And I don't
Yeah.
even, I would, I guess you would kind of call this a B movie,
It's a B
but
movie, but
I
there's
mean,
nothing wrong with being a B movie.
yeah.
You know, not everything needs to be a $100 million budget Marvel movie connected universe. Blah 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 blah.
And I mean, when you think about it, in terms of what would categorize this as an A film, what would you do? Throw in maybe a better lead, not a better lead, but like a more well-known lead.
Well, like
And
I said when I initially started watching it, oh, this reminds me of a Jason Statham movie
yes,
without Jason Statham. Like if you would have put him, and I'm not knocking Scott Atkins, I love Scott Atkins.
yeah, Scott's awesome.
This is not a slight on him at all, but it's like if you would have put Jason Statham as the lead,
Then it probably would have gotten that bigger release. And
yeah,
yeah, that's the
a little bit
only
more
difference.
budget, a little
Yeah.
more hype around it, but that's okay. The movie is quite entertaining.
I find it very entertaining. And like you said, as soon as you heard the cast, this cast is amazing. Scott Atkins, we've already talked about. I'm a huge Scott Atkins fan. I know you are.
Oh
He's
yeah.
just a stuntman turned actor who just wants to have fun, kick
Mhm,
ass, and make cool
mhm.
movies. Like, I'm down with that. Of course, Michael Jai White. You have Spawn himself.
Spawn, you
Uh,
sold me when you're like, "Hey, you got to check this movie out." You know me so well. You're the very first actor you said was
Michael
Michael
Jai
J. White.
White.
Michael
Yeah,
J. White,
I
and
knew
I'm
that
like,
was the
"Oh,
key.
Spawn."
I knew that was
Yeah,
the key. Um, Ray Park, Darth
Darth
Maul,
Maul.
Snake Eyes and GI Joe. He was
Why?
Toad in X-Men.
Why isn't he in more movies? Because he is good.
I like him a lot. I actually got to meet him. He's cool in person too.
Didn't you say he did a flip, like a
Yeah.
backflip or
Like
something?
we were waiting in line and people, would dress up and bring lightsabers and stuff. And every single person ahead of us that we saw hand him a lightsaber, he would like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. And he'd go out and there'd be like this mosh pit around Ray Park. And he would just start flipping and doing shit with the lightsaber. And he's like, whew, getting kind of old. Sure enough, the next person, will you do it again? All right. And he'd go out there and do it again. Like he seems like one of those
That's
people that just likes to have fun.
that's crazy cool, and I love actors that embrace the parts that made them famous.
Yes.
Like there are times that actors will kind of push back a little bit. Oh, maybe I don't want anything to do with that movie. It was earlier in my career or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's cool the way that he loves and embraces the fact that he was Darth Maul.
Yeah.
I think that that's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's probably where a lot of people would recognize him from, or not even recognize him, but just know that he was Darth Maul. But
Toad,
he's Toad.
Toad, yeah.
Uh, and yeah, Snake Eyes and GI Joe. Like, he's done a whole bunch of stuff. He's just usually got his face covered or makeup and prosthetics, and of course, big stunt guy.
Yeah.
So him, Michael Jai White, Scott Adkins, Ray Stevenson as Big Ray. He was a Punisher for Warzone.
I
Um,
didn't recognize him at first.
he's looking old, getting old.
Although I have to admit, the mutton chops is a good look for him.
He pulled it off. He
He
pulled it off.
pulled off the mutton chops. He plays a good. I like he's the grizzly old veteran of the group.
Yeah,
He's retired. Kind of got out of the game, but is still very deadly.
yeah.
I like that. He's real good in that role. He's underrated as the Punisher, I think, too.
I think so too.
It was what, Punisher Warzone
Yep.
was the flick that he was in?
Yep.
That's worth a rewatch. That's worth us doing.
I would watch that again. It's been a while because I always watch Thomas Jane 2004 Punisher. I love that film. It doesn't take anything away from Warzone, but Warzone's just more of a with Punisher you get kind of the backstory and you get more of character development with Thomas Jane, whereas Warzone is more just like shooting people and blowing stuff up.
Yeah. Which is why I like Warzone.
Yeah, exactly.
Warzone is also one of the few comic book movies directed by a female, Lexi Alexander.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, directed Punisher Warzone.
Yeah, he's everywhere. He'll pop up in TV shows. He's done The Walking Dead. He was Dr. Tim Faulkner, and then he'll go and do the Book of Eli. He was in Thor as Volstagg. Three Musketeers film from 2011. He was also in G.I. Joe in Retaliation as Firefly. There's not much that he hasn't done. Perhaps most notably recently is the pirate show. He was Blackbeard.
Black Sails?
Black Sails, thank you. He was in Blackbeard and Black Sails, which is fantastic. I absolutely love that show. But yeah, he, like you said, he needs to. He's just a great person to have.
So I had a comparison I want to make here, Jeff, about Accident Man. After I watched it, and I'm like, oh, I know why Jeff liked this movie so much.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear.
I know why Jeff loved this movie. This is because if you and I sat down and were like, let's make an Expendables movie with B-movie actors, who can we get?
This is our District
This
B13.
is our... Yes, this is our B-movie Expendables with Scott Adkins and Ray Stevenson and Michael J. White.
Ray Park, Martin Ford. He's in it very briefly, but Martin Ford. Even David Paymer, who plays Milton, he pops up everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's always just that little weasel character, but I love him. He's great.
Yes. These are a lot of actors that you see in smaller roles in bigger films that are getting more of an opportunity to shine in this one. And I really think that that's what makes this movie work, is that it is a really good cast. There is a really good dynamic between all of them. It's also kind of I liked the dark humor.
Yes, me too. I wanted to talk about that because this is pretty recent, 2018. And you don't get a lot of that. Like we were saying at the top of the show, if it were a Jason Statham film with a bigger budget, I don't think you would get that. All of that would be gone. And then you'd just be left with kind of the ha-ha jokes and maybe a couple jokes about environmentalism, but I don't even know if that would make it in now.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, you're right. The dark humor and it really, I think, helps it stand out. And I think that Scott Adkins, I think probably, I know people are going to disagree. I don't know who the other Scott Adkins fan out there, but I think this is probably his best role where he actually gets to act and he's actually good at it. I know a lot of people would say like Boyka and the Undisputed stuff, but he's not really, he's just like Drago in those films. Like he doesn't really get much room to shine. I think this film, this is Scott Adkins. This is what you can get out of him. He's got a little bit of that back and forth between being that, I don't see them as people. But then in the same film, he's like, I don't know why I loved her, but I did. Like he kind of bounces back and forth. I like it. I think it works.
I liked the his narration of the film. It was a little reminiscent of Sin City. Just the narration over top of what's going on. That's cool. I'm always a fan of that.
And I liked how it was almost kind of ironic. It wasn't really fourth wall breaking, but it was close.
Yeah.
The way he was kind of talking to us about how he was going to do stuff. And I really enjoyed that. And some of that might be, like you said, Sin City. It might be because this is actually based on a comic book series that we were talking about. from back in 1993. It's a very short series. There's only 3 books, but that might have something to do with it as well.
Yeah, and I wasn't aware that this was based on any kind of existing property until
Yeah.
I had read that on IMDb. Be interesting to see what the source material for this one is like. I think you looked it up and it's dirt cheap
Yeah, it's like
online.
$2 a book.
Yeah,
So that makes me really want to check it out, especially after seeing this.
you probably downloaded it on my Kindle for next to nothing.
Yeah, probably.
We should probably go over the plot a little bit because it's an interesting kind of like, I like the setup. The
Yeah.
setup for it is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So it is it's a gang of hitmen, and they each have their own unique style, which I thought was really cool. So Scott Adkins, like his way of going after targets, is that he will make it look like some kind of accident had happened.
Like the name.
Like the name of the movie. Hey, that's cool. So there's a scene where he's on top of a building, a roof of a building, and he's waiting for a car to come speeding around a corner at like the right angle and the right speed. And what is it? He shoots the tire out so that it looks like the tire exploded, the car loses control, and it smashes into his target and kills his target. And so it's like, oh, when the police investigate this, it just looks like, well, an accident had happened.
Yeah.
And so that's his method of going after his targets. And then there's a couple other characters. You got the one guy who's going to use your poison. You got your professional assassins. You've got your madman with your axe who just goes all out, brutal. The guy with the what's the one with the telephone book?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, I don't even know how to explain.
Yeah. Like he was like the tester kind of. He would try out different ways to kill people. They show him like with the microwave exploding, and he makes those stupid band-aids that are actually acidic. And
maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was testing them out.
Yeah, so he's very inventive on his different ways of doing it. And
was it Fred?
Yes, it was. That was
Fred.
Yep.
Perry Benson is the guy who played him. He doesn't even have a picture on IMDb. He has over 100 credits, and he doesn't have a picture.
Holy crap. And then there's the female assassin who reminded me quite a bit of Uma Thurman from Kill Bill.
Absolutely. Amy Johnston.
The Japanese samurai sword, and that's kind of her whole setup. So I thought that it was really cool that each of them had their own unique style and their own unique flavor to it. That's why I said, oh, this reminds me a little bit of like a low-budget Expendables film, because every person has a unique set of skills that they bring to the table. And they're all, and a little bit too is a John Wick comparison that you could make, where they all kind of hang out at this bar, and that's where they're all kind of, they're friends, or they're at least friendly with one another in this environment, and that's where they get their assignments for who they're going to go out to kill next. And a lot like John Wick is when they're inside the bar. This is Bray Stevens, that's his bar, that they're inside of. It's kind of set up that, like in John Wick, that they don't, you don't go after one another. That's their safe space, is when they're inside the bar. So that's kind of the general premise and setup of all the characters.
No beating up Belton.
I love that part. It's written on a chalkboard. It's like there are 3 rules when you're inside this bar. No spitting, no beating up Milton, and what was the first one?
I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember what I should have wrote it. I knew I should have wrote that down. I think it's like basically no violence. You don't turn on one another.
Yeah. It was like
no fighting, or
something like that.
Or something like that.
Yeah. And so what kind of gets us going is because in the beginning, he's doing that gruff old voiceover. He's like, I don't even see them as people. I just kill them. And it's like, what gets him to the other side of this film, and why do we even care? He's a hitman. Why should we even care about this character?
Yeah.
But you find out that There was this girl that he really loved. Ended up she was pregnant with his child, which is this whole kind of subplot that is supposed to be like the main plot, but it gets kind of pushed down and convoluted.
A little
But
bit.
essentially, he had a pregnant ex-girlfriend who was killed, and it ended up being that Mick and Mac were the ones who killed her. And so that kind of turns them around, even though they have this whole brotherhood. It's a little silly that like they have this brotherhood. It's not personal. They just do their jobs. He's killed how many people, but now
Right.
because it was one of his, now he's going to go off and on a roll, on a tangent, and get back at everybody. But so the turning point of the film for me, it's silly, but if you watch it and you know what you're watching, just go with it. And it's fun to watch him fight Michael Jai White and Ray Park in that dojo rolling area. And then you get another cool scene with them at the end. And so I don't know. I think it works though. It's a little bit silly.
The fight scenes in this movie are what?
Phenomenal.
Yes, that's really your meat and potatoes of this flick. I enjoy, my big budget superhero Marvel movies, but you can tell no matter how good the CGI and the special effects are, you can always tell that, oh, that's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is CG because he's moving in very fluid, unnatural ways. And so there's not really a weight to a lot of the fight scenes that we get accustomed to seeing nowadays because they're so slick and they're so produced. And what I like about a movie like Accident Man is that it's two actors in front of one another, and they've learned how to do the fight choreography, and they're
professionals.
They're not actually hitting one another, but you know what I mean when I say, oh, they're
going for it.
They're hitting one another. Like they're not trying to kill one another, but you know what I mean.
And the camera
feels, yes,
the camera captures it. There's no shaky cam. They don't do 50,000 cuts in between a punch and a kick. You see punch, kick, punch, kick, kick. It's like watching a dance.
Right.
And then they'll cut at the end, flip to a different angle, and then they'll go at it again.
Yeah. That is absolutely, I hate the Bourne Identity movies for that reason.
God, yeah.
They ruined fight cinematography in Hollywood for, well, we're still suffering from Bourne Identity. So it is, like you said, it's really nice when it's like, hey, here's the camera, here's our actors, here's your fight scene.
And they're actual martial artists who know what they're doing, and you can tell that they have years of training and they just go for it. And we're kind of coming off of this. I sent it to you, but Scott Adkins has a phenomenal YouTube channel. So if anybody's interested, go check out Scott's YouTube channel. It's just Scott Adkins. He interviews martial artists, action stars. He had Dolph Lundgren. He's had Michael Jai White. He had even Steven Seagal. He got Steven Seagal to talk humbly, which is impossible.
Right?
Like and Mark Dacascos. He's had all these people on there. In the Michael Jai White interview, they talk about this film, and they talk about how close they get to one another. And he kind of jokes that like he could feel the bottom of Michael's foot as it like kicks him in the face and it, like brushes against his nose. He's like, yeah, you got long legs. I misjudged it. And so they're going at it. And it's just, they're getting within centimeters of each other, millimeters even. And it just delivers it in a whole different way.
Yeah, the fight scenes in this movie are excellent. Like you said, the plot, I'm kind of give or take on the plot.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
I think it gets a little convoluted with the environmentalists, and she's trying to take down this company, and they don't like it, so then they kill her. But then she's pregnant, even though she's with another woman now.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, definitely. What makes this film stand out is the action.
That's not what you're here for. The action, and I think the cast, and like I said, just the fact that every assassin has a different methodology and such a different personality set between them. Like, none of the characters are alike.
Right. Except maybe Mick and Mac.
Well, yeah, but they're a
kind of
team.
one. Yeah,
They're a team. I count them as like one character, like you said. They're a team, so they're supposed to be. They're the professional, military style assassin. So that it works for them in that instance.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think. And another thing is the pacing of the action. I think works really well. You can see them getting more tired, more worn out, and especially, I think it's at the end when he runs into Fred at the bottom of the stairs, and Scott just goes, "Fuck, Fred!" And it's like, seriously, like another one. And
Fred's just standing there with his briefcase, and he's like, I don't really want to do this, but I have to.
I'm a dexterity killer. I'm not, all that punching stuff is for you guys. And he just fucking drops him anyway. But I think there's a lot of good instances like that where it kind of stops for a moment and they catch their breath.
I do really love the way he never wanted to hurt Fred. Like,
there's something about Fred.
Something about Fred.
Meanwhile, he's just going through a phone book and killing random people.
Yeah.
It's like, what makes that character, like, why do we like that character so much?
I don't know.
It's
because of the actor.
Yeah.
I like the actor.
I mean, meanwhile, like, all these characters are just terrible people. But at the same time, like, you're kind of rooting, like, you're obviously rooting for Mike, but it's a weird thing that happens.
This movie reminds me of years ago when I used to work at the video store, and we'd get our box of new release movies that would come in that, I gotta check them in for, Tuesday. Tuesday was new release Tuesday. And you'd go through the box and you'd have like, I don't know, like 10 copies of Accident Man. And you'd be like, what the hell I've never heard of this movie. And so you take it home and you watch it and you're like, holy shit, I've never heard of this, but this is really good. And then so you just start recommending it to people.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, you want a good kind of action movie? Well, check out Accident Man. Like, I thought that's what was really cool. It totally reminded me of those days of like just working at the video store and going through the box of movies and like, wow, look at this one. This is cool. How come I've never heard of this before?
Yeah, this is I should say this is one I kind of accidentally watched. I think the first time I saw Scott Adkins outside of like his stunt work was maybe Ninja. And that was, I watched on Netflix because it was there. And it kept getting recommended to me.
I've never seen it. Is that
I
good?
like it. Yeah. It's it's fun.
I have it on Blu-ray.
If you like this, you'll definitely like Ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first time I just watched it because Netflix kept recommending it to me. So I watched it. I'm like, this is pretty good. And then I'm like, Scott Adkins, and then it recommends other stuff. And so I watched a couple other things. And then he had always been in the back of my mind. But then I want to say it was just a couple months ago that I watched this for the first time because I went on Tubi to watch Tubi. I went on Tubi to watch Avengement, which is his 2019 film, which is also very good. And then it starts recommending stuff. And I was like, Accident Man. And then you click on the thing, it pulls up the Michael Jai White, rape. And like you said with the cast, I'm like, well, now I have to watch this. So I ended up staying up after that. And I was already jacked up on Avengement. I thought was really good. I think this is better than Avengement. And Scott's like one of his big characters aside from Boyka is Dean Burgess in Avengement, where he plays like this ex-convict. He's got this crazy grill, shaved head. Like he just looks like a freak. And it's a very memorable character. And then you watch this where he's just basically himself and it's almost better. So I don't know. I accidentally watched this a couple months ago and I was addicted to it. Of course, now Tubi's recommending me everything else. So I watched I think it was called like Devil Dog or something, Dead Dog, Mad Dog or something. I ended up liking that.
Savage. So I got his IMDb up. It's called Savage Dog.
Savage Dog.
Yep.
I watched that and that was fine. And so now I'm just addicted to these Scott Adkins films. And every once in a while he'll get that, like he was in Doctor Strange. He'll come up, he'll pop up, and now he was in like Ip Man 4, and he's going to be in John Wick 4.
He's going to be in John Wick 4. He was in Expendables 2.
That's right. He was the bad
Hmm.
guy. He was the bad guy with John Claude.
Hmm.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
He was in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
he's Deadpool, right?
Yeah, he played Deadpool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I think he did.
Did he really? Did he do the stunt work for Deadpool?
Yeah, because he's just like that. He doesn't have his suit or anything yet, and he's just that weird
Oh,
faceless kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. That's why he's credited. Okay.
Yeah, Weapon 11 or whatever it is.
Weapon 11. I didn't understand the credit until, yeah, you said that. That's right. Deadpool. Deadpool.
Yeah,
I'm making finger quotations.
yeah,
Deadpool.
it wasn't really Deadpool, but
Right.
they tried. Look at this, Black Mask 2.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
We've I got
Did
you
we
to watch
cover
Black Mask. Yeah, I got you to watch that. We talked
did
about
we
it.
cover part 2?
No, I don't even.
Might
This is the first time I've seen anything about it. Black Mask 2 with Andy On as Black Mask. Tobin Bell from Saw.
Oh, I'm down.
He's in it. John Polito. Tyler Maine.
Oh, how funny.
Andrew Brynarski.
He was in the Bourne Ultimatum.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the third one?
I think so. 2007?
Yeah.
Probably.
Really? Dude, this cast. Black Mask 2, Tracy Lords, Rob Van Dam, Tyler
RVD?
Maine, Scott Adkins, Tobin Bell, John Polito, Andrew Brynarski. Wasn't he one of the was he Leatherface? In what was the one that we watched?
I couldn't
The
tell
Beginning,
ya.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning, with Jessica Biel, or yeah, Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Leatherface in that. He's in Black Mask 2. We might have to check out that.
The more you know.
Of dumb movies. Oh,
This how I
and
find
Unleashed.
some of my. Oh, really?
We watched Unleashed. He was in that scene where Bob Hoskins throws Jet Li into the swimming pool to fight those people. He's one of the guys that attacks them.
Speaking of Bob, we got to do the Super Mario Brothers movie sometime.
Oh, good lord.
I love that movie. That movie is so good.
R.I.P. Bob.
He hated that movie, but you know what? People are coming around to it where they're like, it is not a good Mario movie, but it is this weird sci-fi kind of oddball entertaining thing. I like
That's
it.
true. Yeah. Yeah, I guess Ninja was 2009. I was thinking it was like 2011, 2012. But yeah, it is and then soon after that, Expendables 2, Ninja, Undisputed, he's been doing forever, Zero Dark 30, Legend of Hercules. Like he gets into these other larger films, but he's just never the main guy. Hard Target, that's a good one too.
Like Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo and
You
Scott
and I love
Adkins.
Frank Grillo. We need to get them in a movie.
That would be good. They could be brothers.
Yeah.
Triple Threat is another one I would love to go to. Scott Adkins, Iko Iwao from The Raid, Tony Ya, Michael Jai White, Michael Bisping. So many great people. So with this being back to Accident Man, now that we're
Back to
going down
Accident Man.
IMDb. Since this was your first time watching, kind of what was in your head when I told you about it and you were looking at it, and then what did you think right after you watched it?
What I thought going into it is that, this is going to be I thought it was going to be more of a group dynamic where it was like all of them were going to have to work together to take down a target and use all their different, their different styles take someone down, which actually I think maybe would have been a little more interesting, because you kind of could have done the Avengers thing where you pair them up in groups, and you pair them up in groups, and you get to see how they work together to work towards a common goal. Like, that was kind of what I was expecting. So I wasn't expecting the movie to be about them ultimately going against
Turning
one
on each
another,
other.
turning and going against one another. I was really impressed with the action sequences. So when I was done with the movie, I thought, that's worth rewatching again to kind of retake in, knowing what I know about the film's plot. That's kind of give or take on that.
Yeah.
I think it's worth rewatching for the action sequences to just enjoy, knowing that, well, it doesn't matter so much a little bit about the parts between it. It's just like, and enjoy those set piece moments that the film has to offer. That's kind of what I thought of it.
That's interesting. I didn't when I first saw it, I didn't get that impression right away where like they would work together. I almost like that idea better now. I think that would have been a better way to do it.
That's what I thought. So I'm like, oh, that would have been cool.
But I mean, I do like how it turned out, and especially for what it is, I think it still kind of works. Like you said, we're talking about this as a Jason Statham film without Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a Frank Grillo film without Frank Grillo.
Without Frank Grillo, yeah. See, I love heist movies in general. Anytime you get a good heist film where it's what was that? What is that one inexplicably good Fast and the Furious movie where they have to steal the bank vault?
5.
Five. Five is my favorite one because it's all the different characters. It's that group dynamic of the heist aspect of it, coming together to steal that bank vault. That was kind of what I was hoping that this movie would be. Was that like, oh, all these different characters working together with their different, their different skills, working towards a common goal. So that was what I was hoping.
Yeah, I could see it working that way as well. I think yeah, I think for what it is though, I think everything kind of works out if you kind of park your brain at the door before you walk in. I think it's kind of one of those films where you just gotta be like, okay, it's like going to see a fast movie. If you go to watch Fast and Furious, you got to kind of put your brain in the bucket before you go in, along with your car keys.
Yeah, definitely.
So was there any scene in particular that you wanted to talk about, or anything that kind of stuck out to you aside from just kind of the general fight scenes?
I liked the it was the scene with Spawn and Darth Maul. Spawn and Darth Maul, the first time that they fight Scott Adkins, and they's kind of flipping them through. It's like they're inside that office looking area where he's flipping them through the different panes of glass. Do you remember that sequence?
Like towards the end when they're like suited up and they come to shoot him?
Yeah. Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat. I liked that sequence probably the best.
Okay, that reminds me. That scene stole a scene from a Jet Li film that we've watched called Kiss of the Dragon.
Uh-huh.
Between the grenade and the cue ball, remember when the 8-ball?
Yes, I do.
Jet Li jumps up on the pool table, fucking boots that 8-ball, hits the dude in the head. Scott does that. He pushes himself off the table, does that kick, kicks the grenade back at him.
Right.
That's a Jet Li thing.
Nice catch. That's cool.
Like as soon as that was awesome. It was kind of a cool whatever you would call it, but
homage.
Homage. Yeah. Homage. I don't know if it was for that, but it had to be.
It had to be. For as much as these guys are into stunts and stunt work like that, like, you have to believe that, like, hey, here's this cool bit from this Jet Li movie. Let's do something similar to that.
I think it has to be. So coming out of this, I know you're already a big fan of these type of movies, Scott Adkins and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, from the films that you've seen, where would you kind of rank this for like Scott Adkins, Michael Jai White, like this style of film? Is this kind of towards the top of your list?
This is one of the easier ones, I think, for your average moviegoer to get into and watch because it's the tightest. It's got one of the tighter narratives to it. Not so much in the story, but just in terms of like it moves along quick. You're never in one particular story beat too long. Even when we do a flash, there's a little bit of a flashback sequence.
Oh yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. It was cool that they did that as well too. But it's like you never somehow you spend the perfect amount of time in each sequence. Even with the fighting scenes, they never go on too long. So I think that this is the easiest for just your average movie goer to get into. And it also succeeds because it takes itself seriously. It takes the action seriously, but there are enough jokes spread out
It
within the
takes
movie.
Yeah, it takes the
Yes,
action seriously, but as a whole, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
right. It's okay
It leaves
to
room to joke
laugh at it.
around. Yeah,
Yes. So, we're not the world isn't on fire and we're not saving it from space aliens and it's like
right.
the stakes are not huge in this movie and I appreciate that because a lot of movies are so big that you don't have room to just crack a joke about the
Right.
environment or crack a joke about
How these
whatever else.
characters are acting, how they're
Yeah,
acting kind of ridiculous.
yeah, you know.
Coming off of
That's what
that, yeah, coming off of that, I think that's the way I would describe it, especially if you're trying to get somebody to watch Scott Adkins and you're like, no, he's phenomenal. He's a great martial artist, awesome action scenes.
watch
I
this
think,
movie.
I think this would be the first one because it
Yeah,
kind of has the, like you said, kind of the tightest plot, keeps itself together, kind of rents itself to allow a wider audience. And then you start showing them Savage Dog, Avengement, stuff like that afterwards.
right, right.
So I think that's a pretty good discussion. Is there any kind of final thoughts you want to say before we wrap this up?
There is a part two in
Oh yeah,
development. Uh, what do you think? Do we got a little franchise on our hands? A little lower budget Accident Man franchise? Uh,
I hope so. I mean,
who
there's
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who
okay.
is one actor, realistically speaking, actor that they could get to add to the second film that you would like to see in the sequel?
Iko Iwa from the Raid.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I think he's even done I think they did Triple Threat together. So I think they've even been in a film together. But
I
I think
am
that would
gonna
be
I'm gonna
interesting.
go with Donnie Yen.
Okay. Kind of along the same lines. Yeah.
Yeah, because I that was the one thing that was kind of lacking a little bit was that Jet Li martial arts style.
Yeah.
So Jet Li might be a little too big of a name to bring in for a sequel, but Donnie Yen, I feel like they could get Donnie Yen for a sequel.
Oh yeah. That would be good. Donnie Yen, even Tony Ya, I think
I
would fit
mean,
in.
we have to say it, Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo, of course, yes.
You can get Frank Grillo. They could get Frank Grillo.
I think they definitely could. And
I want to
like I
see.
said, they bring him in. This is my older brother. I think that there's
Yeah,
a lot of similarity
yeah,
between
yeah,
Scott and Frank.
yeah. So the sequel, Scott Adkins looks like he's back, and Ray Stevenson
Oh, sweet.
is back. He's on there too.
Well, yeah,
So
everybody else is dead.
except for
Fred.
Fred's still with us, so he could come back. I
Fred.
like that. But yeah, so it's gonna have to be a whole new cast
Yeah,
of
that would be
people because
cool. That's a good
killed in it.
idea. Yeah. They
I
could
would
kind of
let
be like rebuilding the Oasis and getting new
yeah,
assassins and stuff.
and I don't know. That's what I would do with this, where I would turn it into B movie Expendables a little bit, where it's like, well, who were these other kind of I hate lower tier because that makes them sound less talented.
Right.
But some of the lower tier action stars, like who could we bring in?
I bet they could even get someone like Dolph now. Bring in Dolph Lundgren. Bring in
Yeah.
someone like
Although Dolph has had some pretty high profile releases here lately with,
oh yeah,
he was in Aquaman, he was in
Creed 2.
Creed 2.
You could get I don't even know. I mean, I think we've said a lot of them. Donnie Yen, Iko Iwata, maybe Tony Ya. Yeah, I don't know. What about oh yeah, Frank Grillo.
Okay. Suicide Squad, Rick Flag.
Oh, Joel Kinnaman?
Yeah, could you get Kinnaman for something like this?
I think so.
Or would Kinnaman he'd have to star in it?
He did star in Suicide Squad, really, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he got. Well, I don't want to say anything, but
I love Kinnaman.
Kinnaman would be good.
Yeah.
What about there's got to be one more that I'm trying to think of. Who
Brendan
was
Fraser?
Brendan Fraser? There you go. There, he's in every. He's always the. He was in Never Back Down. He's in Gladiator, the bald black guy that's in everything. He pops up and the hell? I can't think of his name now. But
Terry Crews?
I mean, yeah, Terry Crews. He's already an Expendables.
But you're not talking about Terry Crews?
No.
No?
He's got his name's got Shimon Hansu.
Okay.
I think something like that would be all right. Yeah, I don't know. There's and what would you think of for the bad guy? I mean, like, would you use a Donnie Yen for the bad guy maybe then?
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think that would be a challenge. How do you take
Yeah,
down Donnie Yen?
That'd be fun.
That'd be tough.
Scott Adkins, Donnie Yen fight scenes. Yeah, that sounds good.
I think they already have too. In Ip Man 4.
I haven't seen the fourth one yet.
Yeah, Donnie Yen. Oh man, Donnie Yen and Scott Adkins have this brilliant fight scene. Inside, it's like it's almost like a furniture kind of store, but I mean, there's like lamps and mirrors and glass everywhere that they're trying not to break. And there's this little kid that's like riding his bike around the store, and every time the kid comes by, they like stop and they're like, "Hello," and they wait for the kid to go through, and then they start going. It's fantastic.
That's the fourth one?
The fourth one.
I haven't seen the fourth one. I've only seen the first three.
Oh, you should watch the fourth one just for that scene alone. I think it's worth it.
That's a fun franchise for us to talk about.
Yeah, and especially because I don't get me wrong, I love the Ip Man franchise, but after like the second one, it almost gets cartoony at some points. They go for more like an anime style, which is still fun, but it's just such a contrast between the first one and like the sequels. But the fourth one, that scene with Scott Adkins and him is fantastic. I think you would love it. All right. So I don't really have anything else. I just think that obviously, if you've seen it and you're listening to this, kind of maybe comment like what your favorite scene was, or who you would add to a Scott Adkins Accident Man 2. What actor would you like to see? And then I think we already have our next movie planned, so we're gonna do that. And
can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Gonna do next? We're gonna do one of my picks next. We're gonna do The Shallows, which is one of my favorite shark movies.
I have not seen it.
You, sir,
is that pretty recent?
You are in for a treat. Yes, it is fairly recent. I don't remember the exact year that it came out.
I remember seeing stuff about it. That's with
2016.
that Amber Heard?
Blake Lively.
Oh, right, Blake Lively. Same thing.
Yeah.
Except
Well,
Blake doesn't poop and stuff.
yeah, one of them's a giant piece of shit, and it's not. And it's
Literally.
Not Blake yeah, and it's not Blake Lively.
Blake Lively's with Deadpool, right? Her and Ryan Reynolds are together. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. I really don't follow up on that kind of stuff too much. You, sir, are in for a treat with The Shallows. And for everyone listening, like, one of the reasons I picked it is because it's an excellent movie, but outside of like Jaws or Deep Blue Sea, like people don't talk about like shark movies all that often. And this is one of the best shark movies that you can watch. So I am excited to talk about it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's been a while since I've seen a good shark movie. Like you said, Deep Blue Sea.
Oh,
that's a great one. But yeah, I'll give this a watch. We'll talk about this. And then I think pretty soon, probably by then, the new Candyman will be out. We'll probably be going through that.
Yeah, that comes out like in a couple days as of this recording. So
yeah, we'll definitely be doing that then.
Yes, we will.
All right. Well, I think that's it for Accident Man. I think we've rambled on long enough. So we'll see you guys the week after this post. Thank you guys for listening, and remember to comment below. Accident Man 2, who do you want to see in that cast? We'll see you next time.